now. He ordered over 2 million undocumented foreigners to leave the country.
People are visiting Canada under false pretenses just so they can claim asylum and extract our benefits.
We have also noted the petition submitted to the International Criminal Court by 2 Ghanaian civilians.
Here's the truth about xenophobia in Africa.
The reason Nigerians call this bag Ghana Must Go is going to shock you. And you won't believe it when I tell you what this bag is being called in Ghana. This bag is a result of one of the biggest and craziest migration history in Africa. After Nigeria gained independence from Britain in 1960, their economy was booming due to the revenue from oil. And this led to a massive migration from neighboring countries into Nigeria, especially people from Ghana in search of greener pastures. They took up jobs, went into trade, some even started a family and the country favored them. Until the year 1982, when the price of oil crashed globally and affected the Nigerian economy, the rate of unemployment increased, the price of food and other services increased, and this led to a serious hardship in the country. Nigerians then started blaming African immigrants for all this, just like South Africans are doing right now. They said that foreigners were taking jobs and opportunities meant for citizens. So in the year 1983, President Shehu Shagari did something that will make so many South Africans happy right now. He ordered over 2 million undocumented foreigners to leave the country, and like half of them were from Ghana. But somehow, this massive deportation was tagged Ghana Must Go by average Nigerians, because Ghana had done the same thing to Nigerians before. After Ghana gained independence in 1957, they themselves had a good economy. Many Nigerians quickly moved to Ghana and worked as farmers, traders, builders, and business owners. And by the 1960s, Nigerians were one of the largest foreign communities in Ghana. But over time, Ghana's economy started struggling. The citizens cried that the immigrants were taking jobs and opportunities meant for citizens, just like South Africans are doing right now. So in 1969, the Ghanaian government expelled hundreds of thousands of foreigners from the country, most of whom were from Nigeria. So back in 1983, some Nigerians saw the situation as, "If you do me, I do you. Man, no go rest upon my bench door." Now, many Ghanaians packed their belongings into large checkered plastic bags. Those bags became known as Ghana Must Go, name Nigerians still call it till date. Now, something many people refuse to talk about is that the journey back home for Ghanaians was even worse. To get to Ghana from Nigeria, you have to pass through Benin Republic and Togo. But when the immigrants got to Benin Republic, they couldn't enter Togo because the government of Togo and Ghana had blocked the land borders. So they were stuck in Benin Republic for a week. Families were stranded in the heat with little food, little water, and nowhere to go. And that unfortunately led to the death of some people.
So, now you know that South Africa is not unique in this regard. Across the continent, state-sponsored mass deportations, legal expulsions, and bouts of popular anti-immigrant sentiment have recurred throughout post-independence history. While South Africa frequently draws global media attention for xenophobic violence and crackdowns on non-nationals, it follows a well-established pattern across post-colonial Africa. In almost every instance, mass expulsions occur when a host country experiences severe economic decline or political instability, leading governments and communities to scapegoat foreign nationals. Here are some similar historical events that took place across Africa. In Equatorial Guinea in the 1970s during dictatorship of Francisco Macias Nguema, tens of thousands of Nigerian plantation workers who formed the backbone of the country's cocoa economy were targeted, abused, and systematically forced out, leading to airlift and sealift evacuations back to Nigeria by 1976. In Mauritania in 1989, following a border dispute with Senegal, the Mauritanian government expelled roughly 75,000 black Mauritanians and Senegalese migrants. In Ethiopia and Eritrea from 1998 to 2000. During the border war between the two countries, Ethiopia forcibly deported an estimated 75,000 people of Eritrean origin, many of whom held Ethiopian citizenship, while Eritrea expelled tens of thousands of Ethiopians in response. In Angola, through periodic operations like Operação Brilhante in 2004 and Operação Transparência in 2018, Angola forcibly expelled hundreds of thousands of undocumented West African and Congolese migrants working in its informal diamond mining sectors. All these events stand as significant historical examples of economic nationalism and populist policy in post-independence Africa, ultimately shaping diplomatic relations between African nations.
There's another reason why Trump is apparently a Nazi. He made people coming into the United States from certain countries post a bond for the World Cup. Meaning in order to get into the United States, they had to deposit $10,000 or $15,000 cash and they wouldn't get it back until they left. Maybe he understands human nature a little better than Canada because Canadians didn't do that. And after the World Cup, there was 175 World Cup visitors who claimed asylum from Ghana, Colombia, many parts of Africa, and Asia. Countries that weren't even in the World Cup got into Canada on a visa for the World Cup and then stayed here in asylum. And guess what your taxpayers are doing? Paying for them to live in a hotel, get welfare, get food, and if you want to really be excited, if they brought their kids, they get childcare. So the woman who is working full-time, paying taxes so she can pay her bills and puts her kid in daycare, her tax money is going for the childcare of the asylum seekers who are currently here.
Globally, public sentiment and government policy have shifted towards stricter border controls. In many Western nations, this tightening is fueled by public perception that immigration policies and social welfare systems have been exploited, alongside growing strain on public infrastructure such as housing, healthcare, and public services.
People are visiting Canada under false pretenses just so they can claim asylum and extract our benefits. A report from the Globe and Mail found that 175 people who visited Canada claiming to only come for FIFA submitted asylum claims soon after their visit. Now, this shouldn't surprise anyone because people have been using this backdoor for literally years. In 2024, between January and September, we had over 80,000 temporary visa holders claim asylum and over 27,000 in 2025. Now, granted, these were likely students that came here to study, but these were 175 people that just came to watch a soccer game.
Also, 2 individuals from Ghana filed a petition in the International Criminal Court against South Africa, but the petition failed to meet the ICC's strict jurisdictional criteria and bypasses South Africa's existing independent judicial mechanisms.
We have also noted the petition submitted to the International Criminal Court by 2 Ghanaian civilians, and we have been advised legally that this filing fails to satisfy the statutory legal triggers and jurisdictional requirements necessary for action by the court. We echo the statement Minister Lamola has issued in this regard as a country, and we support that as the IMC.
So guys, let me know what you think. Put your comments down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.